At 9 o'clock on a June evening, Aga Ali, a Pakistani living in Fulchester, walked into the Central Police Station and confessed that he was an illegal immigrant. He claimed he was being blackmailed with exposure to the police. The police arrested the man who had arranged his journey from Pakistan, Muhammad Aslam, on this charge. He's pleaded not guilty and raised the defence that the money demanded was part of the fare from Pakistan which Ali had never paid. We return to the hearing as the prosecuting counsel begins his examination of the master of the boat which brought the illegal immigrants across the English Channel.
What is your religion?
Church of England.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Your name is Thomas William Wheeler, and you are a fisherman living at the Lee Lighthouse Road, Whitby, in Yorkshire.
That's right, sir, yes.
How long have you been a fisherman, Mr. Wheeler?
All my life.
Do you work alone?
No, my brother comes along with me.
Just the two of you?
Yes, sir.
And what do you fish for?
Cod, plaice, anything that comes up, nothing particular. My wife sells it direct from my garage and door to door.
Oh, a small business, then?
Yes, just the three of us and one boat. A little boat.
Now, Mr. Wheeler, I'd like you to recall the events of March 1970, when you were involved in another activity besides fishing. You know what I'm referring to, don't you?
Bringing them Pakistanis over.
Precisely, yes. Now, I would like you to tell the court exactly how you came to be involved in all that.
Well, I got this here phone call and this bloke said, would I be interested in a bit of business that has nothing to do with fishing?
Did he say what?
No, he didn't. He said, could we meet? Well, he didn't say it was anything illegal, and the catch had been very poor for weeks, so I...
So you arranged to meet him?
Yes, that's right. I met him the following day. He was waiting at my boat. He knew which was my boat, and he seemed to know a lot about me. And we just sat there, talking like.
And he made a business proposition?
Yes, that's right. He said, could I bring these coloured gentlemen over at night, just across the water?
And did he say how many coloured gentlemen? He
said about 8.
Now, Mr. Wheeler, I want you to be very careful about this. What precisely was his financial offer?
£100 each.
He would pay you £100 for each of these passengers, of whom there were probably going to be 8.
Yes, sir.
And how was it to be paid?
Half down and half when it was over.
Cash?
Oh, yes. My wife insisted on cash.
And when exactly was the first payment to be made?
Just before I was to leave to pick him up.
Now, how long before?
Well, I didn't exactly say.
But you accepted the offer?
Well, it was such a nice sort of bloke.
And did the first payment arrive as you'd expected?
No, it didn't. He telephoned me only 3 hours before I was due to leave for Holland. He said he couldn't get up to Whitby and that I was to get the money off the Connell gentleman and they would get it back off him. Well, I didn't like that. And when I met the gentlemen, they didn't like it either.
Yes, you met your passengers and you told them that they must pay you?
Yes, sir.
£100 per head?
Well, actually, I asked for £150.
Why was that, Mr. Wheeler?
Well, my wife thought it would be better. She knew they'd beat me down.
And did this happen?
Well, actually, they beat me down to £40. There was this loud-mouthed gentleman who got very angry and started to have a bust at my boat up. And my brother and him had a punch-up in it.
There was a fight?
Well, not a fight exactly. I got a bit, I saw red, you know, and I hit him at the back of the head with a landing up.
So they paid you £40 per head. And did you ever get the balance of the £60 a head from the accused?
No.
Now, I want you to be very careful about this, Mr. Wheeler. The arrangement of the passengers paying you themselves was a last-minute one, was it?
Yes, sir.
And until 3 hours beforehand, the arrangement had been that you should be paid direct by Mr. Aslam out of his own funds.
That is correct, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. You've been most helpful.
Mr. Wheeler, would you describe yourself as a straightforward sort of a man?
Well, I suppose so.
Yes, I mean, out in your boat all day long, mercifully free from the rat race. I mean, no one could accuse you of having a worldly or cynical mind.
I suppose so.
Yes. You see, I suggest to you, Mr. Wheeler, with all respect, that you're really a bit of an innocent, and that the financial arrangements were not nearly so clear-cut as you've just described.
Well, I wouldn't want to give the wrong idea.
No, of course not. That's exactly what I mean. You see, I put it to you that Mr. Aslam never contracted to pay you himself at all, at any stage.
Could be.
What?
Could be.
But you just said to my learned friend that you were to be paid half before you left, and half on completion.
Well, that's what I asked for.
Oh, asked for? But did he not agree?
Well, he seems such a nice coloured gentleman.
Yes, but who was to pay you?
Him.
You're absolutely sure about that?
No.
You're not sure?
Well, it was such a long time ago.
Yes, indeed it was, Mr. Wheeler. 3 years. Which of us can remember things that happened so long ago?
That's right, yes.
In fact, the arrangement might all along have been that the passengers were to pay you themselves. Quite a separate arrangement from that with Mr. Aslam.
Yes.
That was the arrangement.
Well, it could have been, couldn't it?
Yes. Thank you. No further questions.
So, Mr. Aslam wasn't to pay you half before you set out?
Yes.
Yes, he wasn't, or yes, he was?
No.
Look, Mr. Wheeler, you've just told my learned friend that the arrangement could have been that the passengers were to pay you direct.
Well, that's what happened.
Yes, I know that's what happened, but was that the original arrangement?
I've just explained all that.
Mr. Wheeler, the pink-coloured gentleman who is standing is seeking to show that your passengers don't owe the brown-coloured gentleman any money for the fare. Now, can you cast any light on that?
I'd like to.
I'm sure you would, but are you able to?
I'm not sure.
Mr. Wheeler, would it be true to say that it is all so long ago you're no longer sure what the arrangements were?
Yes.
Thank you. You may go.
But he owes me £480.
You may go.
Thank you very much, sir.
And thank you very much, my lord. I now call Inspector James Mortlock.
Inspector James Mortlock, please.
Inspector Mortlock, you were a member of Scotland Yard's fraud squad, and you specialise in the scrutiny of books and accounts and the structure of companies under investigation.
That is correct.
Now, in July of last year, were you consulted by the Fulchester CID about the affairs of a company called Silver Star Travel?
I was.
And what sort of company is it?
It's a small private company operating from a shop off Fulchester High Street and trading mainly as a travel agency for package tour holidays.
Now, did you make a detailed examination of its records for 1969 and 1970 with particular reference to a journey from Pakistan to this country?
I did, sir. There is no trace at all of such a journey. However, I also examined a series of small back account books which were found in a safe at the defendant's house and obtained therefrom under search warrant. Each book covers a calendar year.
And do you produce the book covering the year 1970?
I do.
Exhibit 6, my lord. My learned friend has had the opportunity to examine it, and there are photostat copies of sections of it for your lordship and the jury. Now, what exactly are these books, Inspector?
They are rough notes or memoranda kept by the defendant, sometimes in the form of accounts of various transactions entered into by companies with which he is associated. They are mostly in English, but some notes are in Urdu, which I understand is the native language of the accused. There are also sections and individual pages referring to property he owns, a laundromat, travel firm, various tax matters, a restaurant, a string of ice cream vans, and a small toffee factory.
Now, is there any reference to the journey in this book?
Yes, on page 141. Now, halfway down this page, there is the heading Kaipur, which is a town in Pakistan. And then there is a list of the various stages of the journey between Kaipur and Great Britain with the cost alongside.
Now, do you see any reference to a crossing from Zandvoort to Whitby?
Yes, after the itinerary has got as far as Holland, there then occurs the word Kashti, which is Urdu for a ferry. And then the figure £100 in the pounds column beside it.
Yes, the total cost is worked out at the bottom of the page, is it not?
Yes, it comes to £490. The defendant then has written £600, say £110.
Yes, the £490 being the cost to him, the £600 being what he would charge, leaving £110 profit.
That's how I saw it.
Now, let us get this quite clear. The cost of this crossing was included in the £600.
Yes.
So any subsequent demand for money over and above this sum could not be for the crossing.
That is certain.
No. Are there any further references to the journey in other notebooks?
None whatsoever.
Thank you, Inspector.
Inspector, do you speak Urdu?
No, sir.
So you've obtained translations of certain passages of these books?
So we employ qualified translators. The translation is absolutely accurate.
Yes, but was the translator also an accountant?
Not to my knowledge, sir.
Well, then you've never met him.
No, sir.
Well, how did you communicate then?
I had certain pages photographed and then marked the passages that I wanted translated, and he or she then provided it.
He or she? You didn't even know that?
Urdu is the same language to men and women, I believe, sir.
Not my point, Inspector. So this translator only ever saw the marked passages. He never saw or discussed with you the book as a whole.
There was no need. I am the detective, not him.
Or her. Quite so. Now, would you please turn to page 312 of the 1970 book? I have a photocopy here. Now, the bottom half there, you tell us, is in a language called Urdu. Now, what does that mean?
I did not commission a translation on this page.
Well, why not?
There was no need.
Well, how can you possibly say that if you don't know what it means?
It's all in figures. There are no figures, it's all in longhand. I was searching for figures and the cost of the crossing and whether it was paid for.
Do you know whether or not in Urdu numbers are written not in figures but in words?
I should have to take advice on that.
Well, you don't know.
We employ experts, sir. I myself have...
So you don't know, Inspector?
I do not speak Urdu,
So
sir.
you don't know, then?
No.
Well, I'll tell you. It's not true. They use the same system that we do. But the fact is that you didn't know. Now, this page could have contained something referring to the journey from Holland, or indeed to the case of blackmail itself.
There are over 400 pages in that notebook, sir, and there are 10 books. We'd found the figures we wanted. There was no need to look any further.
Indeed, well, we shall see. You've described these books as rough notes and jottings. They are by no means properly kept accounts, are they?
No, sir.
And they're not dated apart from the year, that is.
That is correct, sir.
So you don't know whether these figures are not estimates rather than accounts.
I can say, sir, that they are not.
Now, what makes you so sure about that?
Well, we checked the rail costs for the Middle East sections of the journey, sir, and they are absolutely correct.
But anyone could find that out.
On the 2 pages before the entry and 3 pages after, there are other sets of figures relating to the ice cream business and the laundromat. These figures were checked with the published accounts of the 2 companies concerned, and they proved to be the actual figures to a penny. Yes. Not estimates.
But actual figures before and after in no way prove that the figures in between are also actual, do they?
Well, they give a pretty fair indication.
Yeah, but they don't prove it.
It is perfectly clear.
Do they prove it?
Well, not directly,
no,
no.
Exactly, they don't prove it. But then you are not an accountant, are you, Inspector?
No, I'm not a chartered accountant, no.
Well, what accountancy qualifications do you in fact hold?
We received training in many aspects of accountancy on special police courses.
But no qualifications at all.
I'm a policeman.
Precisely. Not an accountant.
No.
Thank you.